It's midday. Good afternoon to you and welcome to Bena Midday News. This news is coming to you live from Benab House, Atomic Junction, Medina. My name is Sherifat Wayuba. Coming up in today's bulletin. The Kumasi-Sunyani Highway. Also coming up, according to reports, unemployment or lack of economic opportunity could pose Ghana's biggest risk in 2026, even as short-term price pressures show signs of easing. And on the international front, President Patrice Talon's ruling alliance has won full control of Benin's National Assembly in legislative elections according to provisional results. We bring you details of these stories shortly. Thank you for staying with us. You can watch this news live on Facebook and on YouTube at Bena TV. Now let's delve into these stories. A domestic fire outbreak has destroyed 14 rooms in a multiple-room residential building in Kukurizua, opposite Datesh, in the Boku West district of the Upper East region. According to the fire service, a distress call was received from LFM Aduko Roland, after which a firefighting crew was dispatched. Just 2 minutes later, the team arrived at the scene at 10:15 in the morning to find a fire already raging through several rooms of the residential structure.
Firefighters worked swiftly to contain the blaze, successfully bringing it under control by 10:55 hours and fully extinguishing it at 11:20 hours, preventing the fire from spreading to adjoining buildings in the densely built neighborhood. In all, 40 rooms were extensively damaged by the fire, while 4 rooms were salvaged due to the timely and coordinated efforts of the GNFS crew. The fire destroyed portion of the building's roofing, along with electronic appliances, furniture, and other household items. However, mattresses, clothing, and beds were rescued, significantly reducing the overall losses suffered by occupants. No injuries or fatalities were reported, and the cause of the fire is currently under investigation by the Ghana National Fire Service as efforts continues to establish the circumstances that led to the outbreak.
The Ghana Standards Authority has dismissed a false notice circulating on social media claiming that the price of cement would increase by 6 Ghana cedis per bag from Monday, January 19, 2026, providing temporary relief to contractors, developers, and players across the construction value chain. According to the authority, no directive has been issued to adjust cement prices, and the Cement Manufacturing Development Committee, on which the GSA serves, has not sanctioned any upward review.
The clarification comes amid heightened sensitivity in the construction sector, where cement prices directly affect project cost, housing delivery timelines, and overall sector competitiveness. The first notice had triggered uncertainty among builders, real estate developers, and suppliers, many of whom were already grappling with elevated input costs over the past year. Cement pricing remained a critical issue for the industry, particularly as firms plan budget for ongoing and new projects in 2026 against a backdrop of easing inflation and relative stability in the city. Meanwhile, the Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare, is expected to meet cement manufacturers later today in what is anticipated to be a government push for cement prices to reduce in line with improved macroeconomic indicators, while also addressing operational and structural challenges confronting the cement industry.
Now moving on to business, the report, which is informed by responses from business executives under the Executive Opinion Survey 2025, signal growing concerns that Ghana's economic recovery is yet to translate into broad-based job creation, particularly for the country's youthful labor force. Analysts say persistent unemployment threatens household incomes, consumer demand, and long-term productivity, raising risks to economic and social stability. Ranked second on Ghana's risk profile are the adverse outcomes of artificial intelligence technologies, reflecting an ease over the speed of digital transformation relative to skill development, regulatory readiness, and labor market adaptability. While technologies present opportunities for efficiency and growth, the report suggests that without targeted rescaling and strong governance frameworks, automation could displace jobs and widen inequality. The assessment also places insufficient public services and social protection among Ghana's top risks, highlighting sustained pressure on healthcare, education, transport, infrastructure, and pension systems. This comes at a time when fiscal consolidation limits public spending, even as population growth and urbanization increase demand for essential services. A decline in health and well-being further underscores the link between social outcomes and economic performance, with weaker health system translating into lower labor productivity and high household costs. Although inflation has moderated from recent peaks, it remains among the country's key risk factors, reflecting lingering sensitivity around the cost of living and business planning certainty. The World Economic Forum notes that addressing these risks will require a shift from short-term stabilization towards employment-led growth, human capital development, and resilient public service delivery. Now, moving on to the international front, President Patrice Talon's ruling alliance has won full control of Benin's National Assembly in legislative elections, according to provisional results. The Electoral Commission said on Saturday night that of the 5 parties running in the January 11 vote, only the Progressive Union for Renewal and the Republican Bloc, both aligned with Talon, won seats in the Assembly. The Progressive Union for Renewal will have 60 MPs, while the Republican Bloc will have 49.
According to the new electoral code, a party must obtain 20% of the national vote and 20% in each of the 24 electoral districts to be eligible for seat allocation. The main opposition party, the Democrats, won about 16% of the vote and failed to reach the threshold. The results strengthened the presidential bloc's hand going into the presidential election in April, in which 67-year-old Talon, who has ruled the country for decades, is barred from standing again by term limits. He handpicked successors. Finance Minister Ramold Wadani is expected to succeed him. The Democrats, meanwhile, are barred from standing in the presidential polls after failing to gather enough signatures to register. The same rule sidelined them from local elections that were held alongside last week's legislative polls. Turnout in last year's weekend's election was 36.7%, officials said, roughly on par with the 37% in the last legislative polls in 2023. The legislative vote took place weeks after a deadly military coup attempt to overthrow Talon, which lasted a few hours on December 7th before authorities announced it had been foiled. Under a November constitutional reform, the presidential term was extended to 7 years with a 2-term limit.
Now, before we move on to sports, operatives of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, has embarked on a series of raids to clear the reckless illegal mining along the Kumasi-Sunyani Highway. The raids on Saturday, January 17, commenced about 8:20 in the morning when the NIMOS task force stormed the illegal mining sites at the outskirts of the Ashanti region before entering the Ahafo region.
The anti-galamsey operations began from Bronicrom close to Mankraso, where the task force cleared an illegal mining site just about 30 meters along the road between Bronicrom and Mankraso before reaching Edujama. The illegal miners who were actively engaged in the mining fled the scene upon sighting the NIMOS task force and left behind an excavator and other items. The task force subsequently immobilized the excavator by detaching its monitor, other vital parts, and batteries. Following the race, the task force proceeded to Kunsu in the Ahafo Southwest District. Early investigation revealed that the illegal miners at Kunsu had also absconded to escape the arrest. Similarly, the task force flushed out the illegal miners and burned some items at the site. The task force further immobilized an excavator, which had already been tampered with by the illegal miners. Hence, it did not have any monitor or control board. Based on intelligence, the NIMOS task force thereafter proceeded to another illegal mining site at Adejimim, a suburb of Deyang Nkwanta. The task force arrived at an illegal mining site in this town and confirmed that the Tano River flows along the site. It was further observed that the illegal miners depended heavily on the river for their illegal mining activities, thereby causing severe pollution of the river. The illegal miners had makeshift structures at the site, which served as hideouts for their activities. The task force completely burned down the makeshift structures and a multi-purpose heavy-duty water pumping machine. Several items were burnt, including water hoses, makeshift structures, 1 chanfan, 8 tricycles, 40 motors, 2 heavy-duty grinder, 2 heavy-duty water pumping machines, and a metallic gold washing platform. Other items seized include 2 excavator batteries, 1 drum of diesel fuel, 1 excavator monitor, 4 cartridges of pump action gun, a wooden gold washing platform, 5 water pumping machines, and a box of assorted tools. Commenting on the day's race, the Director of Operations for NIMOS highlighted that the task force will continue to operate in the Bono and Ahafo regions to ensure that the heavily polluted Tano River is brought back to its once pristine state. He reiterated that efforts are being made to permanently position troops at strategic locations on the enclave to ensure perpetual surveillance.
Now, finally, in sports, Senegal clinched the Africa Cup of Nations title with a dramatic 1-0 victory over hosts Morocco in a final marked by controversy, protest, and extraordinary scenes late in the game. The match took a chaotic turn in the dying moment of normal time when Morocco were awarded a late penalty following a tussle in the box involving Real Madrid midfielder Brahim Diaz, referee Jean Ndala, after a prolonged VAR review pointed to the spot, a decision that sparked furious reactions from Senegal's players and technical team.